living in Hackney, hearing this stuff initially just coming out of a shop or out of a taxi, and thinking, what the hell is this? It's just like out of the future. It's been beamed down from outer space. How the hell did they make this? And
Carl Loben, welcome to Beats Learning.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thanks for having me.
The anticipation of meeting you today has been fantastic.
Stop flattering me.
Actually, you've got a phenomenal career, but your role at DJing, you are now the editor-in-chief. For those who are incredibly naive, what do you actually do?
I'm mainly to do the magazine.
Probably the first guest that's actually been able to properly combine two huge passions, obviously music and writing.
I'd be reading the pages of NME and Melody Maker, and I started thinking, I could do that. Contemporary music. My dad was a real Beatles fan, so we pretty much had all the Beatles albums. And my mum liked Elvis and Buddy Holly, so it's not a bad grounding. They say never meet your heroes, but I've met loads of them actually, and it's been great. So I'd get really nervous before meeting some of them, like LTJ Bookham. When I first interviewed him, I was like, okay, no, it's like interviewing God. And sometimes with my music interviews in the 90s, because I was a bit of a weed smoker at the time, I'd just go into the room where you're doing the interview and skin up. I mean, over the 30 plus years since it's been around, every few years people say, oh, drum bass is dead. Those who know that it isn't dead.
But then it's the debate. It's probably the biggest debate in global music is the DJ Mag Top 100.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great for us. It's been a way of documenting the industry as it's grown globally. It's a snapshot of where the global scene is once a year.
So, Carl Loben, welcome to Beats Learning. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thanks for having me.
No, mate, honestly, absolute pleasure. And look, this has been something that I've been trying to get you on for a little while now.
Stop flattering me.
Yeah. Well, look, to be honest with you, I've got to be honest. And to everyone out there, in case I make a lot of mistakes today,
Stop it already.
The anticipation of meeting you today has been fantastic, but more from a nervous perspective as well. You know, I think I said it in the car on the way here, I'm a part-time chatterbox interviewing a veteran, a seasoned journalist in the industry. So look, I'm really looking forward to today and seeing what you've got to say, because actually you've got a phenomenal career, and as I say, we'll get right into this later, but you aren't just the editor-in-chief of DJ Mag. You've had your own labels, you're a DJ, you've been a radio host, and much, much more. But look, I want to start off in a similar way to how I usually would on a podcast. And normally I would ask, where does music start? Where does that passion originate? But actually, you're quite a unique guest. And what I mean by that is actually you're probably the first guest that's actually been able to properly combine two huge passions, obviously music and writing. And so rather than me asking where music come from, the question I actually want to ask is, which one came first for you?
Music or writing? Well, they both, after I'd kind of finished my college course and stuff, I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do, really. But I knew I liked music and I liked writing.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd be reading the pages of NME and Melody Maker and music papers, and then I started thinking, I could do that. Maybe I could go to gigs and write reviews of them, or write album reviews or something. So I started doing some sample reviews and sent them off to Melody Maker and NME. And fortunately for me, in the early 90s, Melody Maker said, yeah, all right, and you can come and work for us.
Well, Melody Maker in itself is, obviously, I don't want to jump ahead to your career too quickly, but Melody Maker, what a force to start working with. Obviously, founded in 1926 and considered the first global music industry publication. Like, what a name to have as your first job in the industry. Like, how did you go about sort of approaching them back then?
I mean, I was very lucky. I think it was right place, right time, really. They took on a few new freelancers at the same time in 92 or 93, whatever it was. And yeah, I was just in the right place at the right time, having sent some stuff into the reviews editor and whatnot. And I mean, I had done some things for kind of like free music papers before that, sort of like smaller things, you know. So and in fact, after I finished my college course, a few of us started up a What's On Time Out style magazine for the East Midlands, which we ran as a small
amazing
business. Unfortunately, it didn't quite take off due to cash flow issues.
yeah, fair. Same as a lot of things.
Yeah. And so then I was like, oh, I'm on the dole. What am I going to do with myself? I like music and I like writing.
Yeah. So let's come back then. Before, 'cause I'm very conscious of jumping straight into your career because, as I say, I know there's a lot to cover, but I really want to understand where the passion of music comes from. So if you've got these two passions, you know you want to write. Where did music start for you? What was let's say, the originator of that passion?
Well, music. I mean, when there was music around in my household when I was a kid, you know, both my mum and my dad liked contemporary music. My dad was a real Beatles fan, so we pretty much had all the Beatles albums. And my mum liked Elvis and Buddy Holly, so it's not a bad grounding initially. And so you know, I sort of, you know, lapped up music and started, you know, taping the top 40 off the radio when I was a kid and stuff like that, getting into pop music basically. And then my first I was too young for punk, but my first independent musical love was the two-tone thing, the specials and the beat and sort of madness and all that. And yes, that was my thing when I was just as I was becoming a teenager, and our little crew at school, you know, really got into it. And my first gig was the under-16s night at Hammersmith Odeon of Madness.
Amazing. So actually a little bit of Scar in there as well then.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was actually with the two-tone thing. I think what I liked was the sort of black-white thing, partly as well, that it was a real multiracial setup. In the bands, and that kind of jumping 20-something years forward, or 15, that was kind of what initially attracted me about the drum and bass scene as well, that it was such a mixed scene, multicultural. But again, so I kind of got really into two-tone, and then, you know, that went a bit off the ball quite suddenly when the specials split up pretty much in 81. And then I got more into kind of like the indie and new romantic stuff and synth stuff, moving into more of the goth and industrial, and then acid house, and then there we are, late 80s acid house epiphany.
Yeah, so you actually had quite a diverse transition, like jumping from one, I wouldn't say jumping, but let's say the segue from one characteristic of music to another genre, and actually ended up on, and we'll get into it, a big D&B fan.
Yep.
So who were your sort of kind of early loves that really sort of kind of pulled you into that? Because a lot of your, let's say, career has really enveloped that genre and that sort of kind of culture. But what pulled you in originally to drum and bass?
Well, I think it was like I was saying, a bit of my journey, and it was kind of, I don't know, just new sounds would come along, and I'd missed out reggae and dub in that bit in the 80s, but that was a significant part of it as well. Which, I mean, the Scar two-tone thing was my jump into dub and reggae and Black Uhuru and, you know, all reggae acts and stuff, and smoking weed with my mate, you know. And that would combine with maybe the indie stuff with. I was just a music fan, you know. It wouldn't be. Sometimes I'd like the post-punk thing of like bands like Magazine or something, but then I'd also like a disco track by the Gibson Brothers. Secretly, I didn't really let on so much about the disco thing because some people didn't think it was cool, but I liked disco as well, and sort of poppy disco, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, like Imagination and people like that. So fasting forward and that going into acid house and then rave and hardcore. So I suppose out of hardcore came the sort of jungle and happy hardcore split, if you like. The happy hardcore was the happy helium kind of stuff, and jungle was more dark and moody and sci-fi obsessed, or a bit ragga as well. And I went down the jungle drum and bass route, and I don't know, a lot of those early records on suburban bass, things by, you know, Burial, Leviticus, so many early jungle tunes in the early 90s sort of pricked my ears because I was living in Hackney,
of course,
as well, in East London, and hearing this stuff initially just coming out of a shop or out of a taxi or whatever. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this? It's just like out of the future. It's been beamed down from outer space. How the hell do they make this? And got really curious about it and started digging and finding out more, and then buying tunes and then started going to raves and parties of it. And then that once I'd started being a jobbing music journo, I started interviewing some of these junglists as well, which was good.
How did that feel suddenly, sort of kind of being in a position to, and I'd say not jumping into your career too quickly, but how did it feel suddenly interviewing these idols, these stars, these heroes that you've been listening to for the last God knows how long, like suddenly being in front of them?
I know it's quite amazing actually at first, and you know they say never meet your heroes, but I've met loads of them actually, and it's been great.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was, you know, so I'd get really nervous before meeting some of them, like LTJ Bookham when I first interviewed him. I was like, fucking hell, it's like interviewing God.
Amazing. Now, is there any, actually, obviously, I've already mentioned on this, obviously, you know, speaking to you today, you know, like the anticipation, the conscious of obviously your career and your background and things like that. Is there anything that you used to do to try and maybe sort of kind of level yourself, or is there any like a process that you sort of kind of followed to make sure that you were in the room properly and fully at that when you were doing these interviews?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's not very professional sounding. I mean, I didn't do any journalism training as such. I've made it all up as I went along.
Oh, wow.
Kind of thing. Same with DJing as well. You know, these days you can go on courses and whatnot, but I just sort of found my way really. And sometimes with my music interviews in the 90s, because I was a bit of a weed smoker at the time, I'd just go into the room where you're doing the interview and skin up.
Yeah.
Smoke a spliff and then start the interview.
Oh, amazing.
I don't do that anymore, I hasten to add.
Yeah. It's fine. And obviously I'm assuming, but let's be honest, that sort of kind of...
And sometimes the interviewee would go, oh, well, I'll have a bit as well.
That's exactly what I was about to say. So
and sometimes not.
Yeah. Did actually, if you don't mind me asking, was there ever a time when someone was like, what are you doing?
No, actually.
Then we're just like, should I ask? Should I not? I don't know.
I mean, I didn't do that all the time, but
of course.
just sometimes. I mean, yeah, I remember one time with Ronnie Size and Crust, and they were like, we got tobacco in that. No,
that's amazing.
We're just neat. Yeah,
that's amazing. No, what a name! No, Brown Paper Bag, one of the best tunes ever made, and these album Represent was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea, I wasn't huge into drum and bass, but I knew it well. I was more into sort of kind of my I would say my era with it was more the early 2000s.
Okay,
so sort of was very much the MC stage, you know, like the X-Man, Skibber, Shabba, Det, all that lot. I was a big Nicky Black Market fan. Like the amount of times we were talking about Toolroom earlier, obviously down at Maidstone, but actually I went and saw him and Jumping Jack Frost, Mampy Swift, all that lot down there.
Frost was down in the House of Parliament with me yesterday.
Oh really? There's a story for that. How's he doing? Christ, like,
good.
He must be getting on there as well, and we all are, admittedly. But
yeah, we all are a bit. But he's doing great. He's moved out of London. He's really happy. He's been on a right old journey as well. I mean, in the 90s, to be honest, I was kind of a bit intimidated by him. He's kind of like almost like a pseudo gangster.
Oh really?
And well, not. I mean, no.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
But now he's really chilled out. He has been on a sort of mental health and well-being journey with himself. Now he's a mental health mentor.
Fantastic.
For like young people who might have mental health issues or whatever. You know, whether it be depression, anxiety, whatever it is. It's really important because men don't talk about their feelings as well. Which should do. And he's become this advocate for mental health awareness, which is respect to him. And he's now done he signed to Def Jam, the label. He's got an album coming and a documentary, and he's given up all everything, booze and drugs and all that.
Fair play.
And he's been on a right old journey, and it's good to see him.
Well, Mr. Frost, I was going to invite you on, but if you're doing a documentary, I very much doubt you got time for me now, so that's right.
Maybe in a few months.
Yeah. We'll see how well the documentary goes. If it's Def Jam, I'm sure it'll blow up regardless. But good to hear. Is he still DJing? Is he still active in the scene?
Yeah, absolutely. He's DJing. He DJs about 10 times a week, it seems.
Oh, really?
Well, all the time, anyway.
That's amazing. Because I know that, funny enough, I was talking, do you know Sylvia Montello? Yeah, so she was on last year, and obviously... Well, I'm sure you're very aware.
She's a drum and bass
huge D&B fan, and we were chatting about the real big revival that it was having sort of over the course of the last year. You know, how have you? What's your sort of kind of take on that? Have you seen a big sort of uptick in drum and bass again now?
I mean, over the 30 plus years since it's been around, every few years people say, "Oh, drum bass is dead."
yeah.
But the those who know that it isn't dead.
Absolutely.
But you know, something else does come along, like when UK Garage came along, it was like that became the flavour of the month for a while. When dubstep came along, you know, and people are like, "Oh, dubstep's a new thing, drum bass is dead," but it's not. It just always continues and has its lane anyway. Yeah, and I don't know, it goes through twists and turns, and new people come along, new technology, new artists and producers, whatever, and suddenly America gets into drum and bass or whatever big time, and or new pockets open up in different spots. I loved it when, like, going to Brazil. And seeing when Marky was first coming through, DJ Marky, and how it took off there, and the sort of twist on and the flavour that Brazilian drum and bass had as well, just a slight difference, because drum and bass could almost be like a palette onto which more or less any genre or sound could be transposed. So it's an open book really for whatever you want to do with it, but also the beat program could be really super intricate and can take producers a long time to make a track, or others can just like roll it out quick. It all depends.
That's like what I consider the Messi Ronaldo thing. So Ronaldo is the work hard, do it constantly, practice. I'm sure Messi does the same, but ultimately I think there's a little bit more of a natural talent there as well, right? So what do you think the biggest changes to the drum and bass scene have been over the last 30 years?
Wow, well, in the 90s it was very much a UK thing. London, Bristol's various cities, and it was quite hard for people from outside of the UK to even break into that scene. It was kind of a little bit closed off. There was a big dub plate culture, so that it was hard to have a hit record unless you gave it to the few key DJs on, and they got a dub plate cut of it, and people would play it exclusively, for a few months, maybe build up hype into that tune before it would get released on one of the main labels. So that it was very much a vinyl dub plate culture, which sort of got broken down just after the millennium. I remember seeing the first time I saw a drum bass DJ playing non-vinyl, playing digitally. Was this guy from America, Diesel Boy, and people were kind of like, why isn't he playing dub plates? What's going on? But then I remember talking to Fabio as well, and he was like,
Fabio and Groove Rider.
Fabio of Fabio and Groove Rider fame, and he said, he I just got a dub plate cut of somebody's new tune, and the person playing before him down at the Swerve that night just played it on a CD, which they just burnt off at home for half an hour before. they hadn't had to go down to Music House and spend 35 quid cutting the tune onto a dub plate, and they just played it, and he was like, "What? How much?" And worked out how much he'd spent on dub plates as well. And also there's the carrying things around, heavy
of course,
boxes of vinyl and whatnot, bags, to be able to get that down into a CD wallet, which people did in those early noughties or mid noughties days. And then the CDs kind of morphed into the little USB. So you can get all your tunes on a tiny little USB, which is quite mad. Yeah, or maybe a laptop. Not so keen on the laptop thing myself for DJing. It just seems like taking your laptop to the club doesn't seem like a good idea to me. But
no, agreed. So being a DJ then, and I hate to throw this at you, especially this early on into the podcast, let's be honest, right? There's a lot of talk about, they don't mix on vinyl, they're not a real DJ. But obviously, look, we've seen a lot of evolution, not only of the music, but technology. And obviously, you've already mentioned, 1 minute you're carrying maybe a dozen, 2 dozen records in a big box like that, and then suddenly you can carry thousands of tracks. What's your take on it? I'm curious.
I did used to love vinyl. I didn't give it up in a hurry. I was one of these kind of I'm not giving up the vinyl people. And then when I started with the CDs and it was like, oh God, you can just carry a load more music around with you, and it's not back-breaking. And when you go abroad and you're waiting on the conveyor belt for your box of records to come, and thinking, is it actually going to come, and panicking. Because people would lose boxes of records quite regularly, they maybe even like scattered everywhere because the boxes come open or something like that.
You know what? I've never thought about that. Like I know if I ever go to a club when I play out, I'd take my headphones, a couple of USBs, and it always got a couple spare as well, like, just in case they don't work. But my God, have you ever had a horror story when DJing or something like that?
I've had the odd time. Well, once I had my records nicked out the back of boot of a car.
Tell me it was Ibiza.
No, it wasn't. It was Hackney.
Me and my friends know, anyone watching, we've all had issues with things getting thieved, stolen out of cars. My mate literally had everything. Just landed, put everything in the rental car. Next thing you'd gone.
Yeah.
Still go to Ibiza. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think another time, I was playing at some warehouse in Elephant and Castle, I think, and I was sort of piling my records, vinyl up on the side thing, and the next DJ came in and sort of put his bag on it, and all my records just slid down this crack under the stage or whatever, onto the dusty floor, and and I was a bit annoyed by that.
I'm not surprised.
Things like that, but I liked vinyl. I liked you'd flick through it and almost intuitively you'd sort of get a recognition from a label or a name or something. You think, oh yeah, that's the one to play next. Yeah. Somehow it'd be like a sixth sense of knowing, which on the digital screen you don't quite get the same of it. That was a bit of an adaptation, I suppose. And yeah, but I mean, all this thing about all the warmth and everything, there is something in that. There's something in the hi-fi audio, but the convenience and the and what the extra stuff you can do on a CDJ and whatnot makes all the worthwhile to have transitioned over to digital in the 21st century.
Oh, let's be honest, James Hype wouldn't have a career if there wasn't loop and a cue point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's made a career in it, and what a fantastic career. Well, look, before we get dug down into the music, the point of this podcast is all about showcasing careers in music that are non-performing. And obviously, look, we absolutely will talk a little bit more about your DJing career and everything like that. But look, editor-in-chief at DJ Mag, but before that, Melody Maker, which we've already started sort of kind of touching on. So you've found this, you've got this passion, you've managed to combine them with your other passion of music, you've started writing these reviews, you've got them over to Melody Maker, now you've got a job. Where did it go from there? What was your sort of kind of first, let's say, introduction into formally writing for a publication? What did you start doing? Where did you go?
Well, I think the first assignment I got given by Melody Maker was this kind of Seattle grunge band called Blind Melon.
Okay, amazing.
And they were playing at the Marquee on Charing Cross Road, which doesn't exist anymore. And I just went along, I wrote my review and everything, and then seeing it coming out in the paper the following week was, it's quite a buzz when you get your first byline.
Amazing, yeah.
And then from there on, I was up and running really, just going to stuff all the time. I had an amazing time in the 90s, just going out all the time to going to gigs and clubs and events and writing loads of stuff, and I sort of went from doing reviews and live reviews and album reviews and into more features and profiles, artist profiles, etc., interviews.
Yep.
And yeah, simultaneously, and so then I started getting on people's mailing lists and getting sent records. It'd almost be like Christmas every day in the post. You'd have 5 bits of vinyl. Ooh, today, that's nice. Yeah. And sort of an extension to like raving about these new records in print would be like, I can just play, I can sort of start DJing them as well. And so I sort of invented myself as a DJ as well, and would play at these little underground parties in Hackney and roundabout. And sort of, to start with, I was kind of playing in the more like the sort of third room, the kind of freestyle, anything goes room that wasn't the banging trance or the banging techno or whatever, where you could play dub or you could play Aphex Twin or whatever you wanted.
So like an open deck type thing.
Yeah. It was more not the chill out. Yeah, well, sort of sometimes it was a chill out room or whatever, but not just super chilled, just anything goes. And people, there wasn't that same pressure to make people dance. It'd be like, you'd be more into sort of freaking heads or just like providing a soundtrack for people to sit around and chat, whatever.
Mm.
And so yeah, from there, and then I got better and better at DJing. I suppose it took a while. I was really shit at first.
To be fair, learning on vinyl. Let's be honest. You learn the best way and the hard ways.
Yeah, I mean, it is like riding a bike. Once you get it in your head, once you can, beat match essentially, get the two records in time without a BPM counter or just through your ear, then you've got it. But it used to take me ages just to get them in time, sort of thing. And then just about got it together got it in time, just about to mix out into the next one, whatever. Now because it's easier to get them in time, you can spend more time thinking about what else you're going to do.
Yeah, of course.
As well with the filters or whatever it is. But yeah, no, it's. I taught myself to DJ. It was kind of when you go to an after party and people would jump on the decks and.
That's how I learned.
Yeah,
exactly how I learned. Out ministry sound 1 minute, next thing you know, you're back at someone's house and it's like someone gets the decks out and let's have a go. Come on in, and the rest is history, as they say.
And you pick up little bits along the line. Someone would say, "Oh, why don't you try doing this or whatever?" And I actually like doing that with other people now. So,
amazing.
There's the odd person who they said, "Oh, I'd quite like to DJ, but I've never had a go." And you go, "Here you go."
Yeah, I've got my 1210 Mark IIs in there. Yeah, I've got a load of my vinyl down. Actually, I bought a load of new vinyl recently. The bells for Joey Beltram's got re-released. Or a new
Jeff
version.
Mills, you mean?
Jeff Mills, sorry, Joey Beltram.
Oh wow!
I bought another track from Joey, but yeah, the bells from Jeff Mills, banging.
Yeah.
Still in the other room. That's waiting to come back out again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in. You started doing that then, and from the sounds of it, you're actually doing 2 jobs in one night. 1 minute you're DJing, then you're off to do interviews.
Yeah, the two were kind of like mutually compatible, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being a DJ helped me better familiarise myself with the tunes, and
of course
would know the records better. And then if I had this record and I would play it, then I might hear it out somewhere. And you go, "Oh, that's the Bells by Jeff Mills."
Yeah.
So it helped with the journalism as well, because there was in the 90s there was no internet, there was no Shazam. You had to sort of know stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the same with there was no Google either. You had to sort of like gen up on your be quite knowledgeable, or maybe read books or whatever.
I was going to say how obviously I look at what I do for the podcast, and let's be honest, exactly as you say, it's so easy to jump on a LinkedIn, look at previous interviews, chat GPT, whatever it might be, to try and get some background or some research. How would you even start back then?
There'd be very few music books, and you'd sort of think, well, with some of the junglists I was interviewing in the 90s, there was nothing written about them really. You had to
exactly.
Use your intuition, I suppose. Like there'd be some standard questions, like what got you into music, what where did you, what's your first tune, what are your influences, and so just find your way really, and there wasn't even any Discogs or
exactly.
you'd be scratching around a little bit for information, or you just ask them what their first release was, or what label they'd been on, or whatever.
Just have a chat.
Yeah, have a chat, and it'd be more perhaps intuitive. Yeah, there wasn't this whole internet history that could be scraped by ChatGPT to tell you everything. No, you had to kind of find it out more yourself.
Because see, you mentioned earlier on that you didn't have a traditional sort of, let's say, any sort of actual education or training to be a journalist. So where do you think that sense, that intuition about how to go about it came from?
I mean, I've always been kind of curious about stuff and about people, and yeah, I think it was also liking telling stories as well, which is kind of what music journalism sort of is telling stories, the story of how this artist went from zero to hero, or whatever it is, and putting things in context, also recording historically stuff at that moment in time. First take on some new genre or whatever, aware that some of the especially electronic music stuff was really groundbreaking, and being sometimes in the right place at the right time to sort of do a music journalist's one of the thing could be doing the first interview ever with so and so, who then went on to headline Glastonbury.
Well, just to be clear, talking about the first ever, I've got to drop this in because I confirmed this with you before we started recording. You did the first ever live review of an event, and then followed by the first ever live interview with Skunk Anansi.
I believe
back
so.
in 1993. Not picking up your age there, buddy, but well, how like. That was really early on because I think you started in like 91 at Melody Maker. So how old were you at that point, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm early 20s or mid 20s or whatever. So yeah, I just got a tip off about this band playing at the Water Rats in King's Cross.
Amazing.
Went along and there was this amazing dynamic black-balled bisexual singer called Skin, who was just so amazing. I thought, fucking hell, she's just amazing and is going to be
artist, yeah.
going to be a star. And just so did this rave review about them, or whatever. And then I think we had to do tips for the following year around Christmas time. We had to do who do you tip to be big next year, and I did, I did them, and did an interview with them as well at the same time in the sort of new bands kind of section or whatever. And yeah, I don't know if it was. I think it was the first, as far as I'm aware, anyway. And it's part of that thing. Like, you'd want to be the first person to, and it's not like, oh, I discovered them or whatever. It's just more kind of like wanting to help bring through exciting new music.
Absolutely,
really.
yeah.
So like around the same time, I remember I did the first, I think, ever interview with Square Pusher. And that was after just doing one of his bonkers records in ambient Soho, and tracking him down to some university halls and doing it on the phone, about 1993 as well.
Yeah,
I think.
that's amazing.
I don't know, and other such ones. Like a bit later on, DJ Markey. I happened to be at his first ever gig in the UK.
Yeah.
And again, seeing this person just being amazing and thinking, wow, that I've got to write about them. Got to sort of help try and bring them to a wider audience, or whatever. His energy and enthusiasm, as and when he was amongst all these kind of moody junglists and whatever, and he was a real joie de vivre, like happy, excited, jumping up and down Brazilian guy.
Amazing. It's like the way you're sort of kind of talking there's quite an element of like A&R in it. In some way, right? Because you're literally going out and finding these, like a scout in many ways, right? You're going out and finding these artists, and rather than taking to a label, you want to be the first one to write and talk about them.
Yeah, you could almost say that, and that was definitely a thing. I mean, it still kind of is with music journalism. You hope that you give someone their first ever write up, and it's a springboard for them onto the next level of their career, whatever. Yeah, maybe should have had a high salaried A&R job with a major label or something, but by quite the fact that you do that one week, and then the next week you'd be on to the next thing.
Absolutely.
With an A&R, you have to stick with that same band for a year or two in their development.
Yeah, I suppose as well, like if they don't pan out to be a real success, you're like, well, I've known about someone else now, and they are, so that's fine. You're not worried about your wins as much, are you?
There's people I've definitely thought, hyped them up, and then they came to nothing.
I won't ask who, don't worry.
Long forgotten.
Yeah. So bouncing back then, like, what do you think made for a good, maybe a better question, what separated the good and the bad journalists back then, or the ones that did well, obviously like yourself, you've built a phenomenal career, and the ones that didn't? And as I say, this is a question being asked to someone who didn't have any formal training around it as well. Is there any like characteristics or sort of kind of traits of the individuals that didn't succeed that could have been changed to make them more successful?
I mean, Melody Maker in the 90s, it was like a golden age, really, of music journalism. There was Enemy one floor down in the King's Reach Tower in Waterloo, amazing. Pretending to be deadly rivals with Melody Maker, and actually you see each other and play five-a-side football.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it.
But Enemy had some great writers, people like and all sorts of people came through that, like Stephen Wells and Steve Lamacq and Simon Williams, Deli for Deli, all sorts. Melody Maker had arguably even better writers. It was more of a maverick title, I thought, and lots of people went on to write for The Guardian or whatever. Simon Reynolds, who to me is the master music journalist, David Stubbs, Simon Price. There's a whole swathe, and pretty much everyone, that they were quite good at sort of selecting people really who had something about them, and pretty much everyone was a really good writer. The people maybe later on I thought who didn't succeed, if you like, were the ones who got a bit too big-headed and were sort of rude to PRs or whatever, or just a bit of a wanker. And so
ego got the better. Ego was a downfall.
Yeah, and if it's nice to be nice, why are you going to scream at a PR for not getting you getting in the VIP area or whatever, and just be a bit of a twat, and I'm thinking of one person in particular, that one person who got too big for their boots kind of thing, or ego just became horrible, was kind of edged out because they were just not very nice to be around or to work with. So you have to be personable as well. But back in the 90s, people's writing was a lot more spiky than it is. These people used to slag off bands like nobody's business, and bands would slag off other bands, and it'd make for really energized kind of copy.
That negative PR, all good PR's good PR type stuff, right?
Sometimes it was only just larking about, like even the Blur Oasis thing. That was kind of a bit manufactured as well. They didn't really mean it, and it would almost be the new, I don't know, Phil Collins album would come in, and it'd be like, oh, who's going to slag this off?
Amazing.
And it was slaughtering the sacred cows or whatever. But sometimes people will be willfully perverse and say, oh, everyone else likes Pulp, I'm going to slag them off. Or whatever. Sometimes it was writers kind of, taking an angle just for the sake of it, or sometimes it was, maybe thinking, that old build them up, knock them down thing. There's an element of truth in that. When
I suppose there's that element of shock content as well. I suppose if you've seen the same band be positively reviewed over and over again, then suddenly there's someone who actually they're a load of crap. You're probably going to read that more than another positive thing. Is that something that happens a lot?
Not anymore.
Okay.
I think it did in the 90s. It was a real thing, and it was it was entertainment as well. It was entertaining to read read the paper, the music paper. What I found at DJ Mag was we'd less be into slagging people off, and it would be like, if you don't like it, just ignore it. Really.
Fair.
A bit more like that, and put the effort into emphasising the positive. Positively emphasising the good stuff.
So then obviously you've been a Melody Maker for a little while, then you're starting to make a name for yourself. You've already started sort of kind of, let's say, ticking off accolades with the likes of with Skunk Anansi interview and the review, etc. And then comes sort of the end of the 90s, like 97, 98, and you start sort of kind of writing for DJ Mag. I think you come on staff on there in 2000, right?
Yeah.
But so if you don't, why did you... What was happening? Was that when Melody Maker started going down, or was it
down
just
the toilet? It went down the toilet.
Say.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was freelance all the way through the 90s. I didn't have a staff job, and increasingly I'd write more of my stuff in the 4-page Orbit dance section in the middle of Melody Maker, and this new editor took over. And I think it was 97 or 98, and my theory is because Enemy and Melody Maker, just after Oasis played Nebworth, both had exactly the same front cover that week, and it was big, massive crowd at Nebworth with Oasis in the background, in the distance. the exact same picture, the exact same cover, and the suits upstairs at IPC must have gone, hang on, we've got two separate titles here, and they got the same fucking thing. We need to put clear blue water between these two. And they brought the old editor had been there like 25 years, Alan Jones, who was this lovely old hippie guy who used to hang out with Lou Reed and Bowie and stuff.
Amazing.
He's got war stories for days. He left to start up this magazine, Uncut. And took a couple of people with him, and then there was this moment when one of the main writers, Everett True, took over being editor briefly for 4 weeks, and it was really exciting. And it was like, yeah, we're gonna change the world. And it was all, and then this guy from NME was brought in, Mark Sutherland, who was just like a real depressive kind of like rugger bugger who were just and had these stupid ideas. Oh, and now we're going to put Louise from Eternal on the cover. We were like, what? Why? I was passionate music fans, and he was trying to make it into like an indie smash hits.
Okay.
And people just were like, oh, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I hung around for a while because I didn't really have anywhere else to go, but I'd started writing for other titles such as DJ Mag. And then he announced that he was closing down this 4-page dance bit in the middle. And I just thought, fuck it, well, I'm off then.
That's me done. Yeah.
And luckily, the nice people at DJ Mag said, "Oh, come work with us."
Yeah, amazing.
So I kind of fell on my feet there, really, and I think it was 99 or 2000, and more or less I've been there ever since.
Fair play. So you've started a DJ Mag. You obviously had got this experience at Melody Maker. You've just started a DJ Mag. Let's be honest, in theory, probably a lot more aligned to your actual passions with music at that time. How did it feel? Because obviously it's become, certainly over the years, a bit of an icon. Obviously with the polls, and we'll get on to the top 100 DJs and clubs and everything like that, but actually it's a bit of a cultural icon in the electronic music scene. Back then, what was the sort of kind of reputation that DJ Mag had in like the early 2000s?
Well, it had a good reputation. It was kind of a different beast. I mean, like when I started, there was. I still don't know how we did it. We got a magazine out every fortnight because there was no email really.
Crazy.
In the office in Holborn when I first started, there was one computer that had a CompuServe email that would get full up after 250. Someone would have to sit there deleting all this stuff all the time off it. So new like press releases would come in, and then you'd have to on a floppy disk take your copy into the next door into the designer's computer or whatever, or my last years at Melody Maker, you'd fax your copy in and then someone would type it in at the other end in the office because it's before email. You think, God, how do we even do it before?
Mate, that's nuts.
And then sometimes the designer would be pasting up stuff like old school style on a pasteboard. Desktop publishing was only really coming into play. So yeah, and it would be like bikes would be couriers would be bringing a photo of so and so from the record label because you couldn't just send it over email, a digital photo of Jeremy Healy or whatever it was. You get a bike, send a photo, quick, we need it now. It was an exciting time, and DJ Mag was, even though it started in 91, it's still kind of in its infancy.
Exactly.
Finding its way in the emerging dance scene. It's very much UK based primarily.
You had a bit more competition back then as well. Like, funny enough, obviously I mentioned earlier, I was speaking to Caitlin McAllister from Ministry of Sound last month, and obviously back then they had Ministry Mag. You had Mix Mag, which obviously pretty much non-existent now. There was trying to pave a way in an up-and-coming genre with a lot of competition like that. What do you think made DJ Mag stand out and actually stand the test of time in many ways?
Well, yeah, there was others as well. There was Seven magazine, there was Jockey Slut, there was some real good ones. And I think what happened with Ministry and Mix Mag is they both to quite an extent concentrated on the lifestyle, on the kind of like, hey, we're taking loads of drugs at clubs, kind of part of it.
Yeah.
Whereas we concentrated on the music, really, didn't sensationalise drug taking or or whatever, recognising it was a part of the scene, but not just going, woohoo, you know, let's put a pill on the cover, or which some of the others did occasionally. And yes, I think by concentrating on the music and DJing and DJs and labels and whatnot, that's probably stood us in good stead.
Obviously, you've been there, 26 years now, give or take, not including the freelance for a couple of years. And obviously, you've seen the transition over to the evolution of the industry, not only from, as you say, the competitors slowly but surely sort of kind of falling to the wayside, but also going from print to digital. You've seen, let's be honest, it's a long form content now transition to a lot of short form content. How has DJ Mag had to adapt in, let's say, in the world? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, quite a lot from being fortnightly. I mean, I still can't believe we did it fortnightly for so many years as well, till I think 2008 or whatever it was. And now we've just in the last year or so, just over a year ago, reimagined DJ Mag into a quarterly magazine, a bit more high-end, premium, a bit almost like a coffee table sort of read. And it's recognising that in print you can't be up to the date with news because it's out of date by the time it comes out in print.
Absolutely.
You do that on the website. Yeah. Reviews. You used to have shitloads of reviews in all the pages, like 17 pages of music reviews. Now you can just go, oh, what's the new track by so-and-so, like, press it. Play on Bandcamp and you can hear it. You don't need someone describing it really. The reviews used to be, you know, people used to swear by some of the music reviews and, you know, take them into the record. Oh, this review by Yogi Horton of this US garage tune, he got it and it sounds really good. It was a real service back then. So that part of it's changed, and we think the high end premium sort of long read mag is because people are on the screen so much at work or on your phone or laptops or whatever all the time. So stepping away, kicking back, and actually having a read of a long read, an in-depth feature about something to do with dance music, is where the magazine can still find its niche sort of thing, and that's proven to be the case. And so we've had to develop the business into also doing events, doing website content, making videos, making our own videos, doing HQ live streams from the basement of our office, and having these polls, which I'm sure you're going to ask me about as well.
We'll get on to that, because obviously, you know what, bugger it, let's just jump straight in, and we'll come back to the evolution of DJ Mag in a second, because look, we've got to be honest, right? I think from DJ Mag's standpoint, it's genius. Not just of obviously the fact, look at us, we are not getting all the attention from the voting in the first place. Phenomenal marketing campaign you can build around of that, both the DJs and the clubs. But then it's the debate afterwards for me, which I think just absolutely is probably one of the biggest debates, obviously outside of AI right now, is probably the biggest debate in global music is the DJ Mag Top 100. You know, when did that start? Where did that come about?
Well, it wasn't a deliberate thing, actually. It was
really?
Organically. It was before my time at DJ Mag, but in 1993, the editorial team at the time, they just said, oh, what should we do for the next issue? I know, let's just name our favourite 100 DJs and write little profiles of them.
That's amazing.
And so organically, this issue with 100 favourite DJs, and at the time there was people like Carl Cox and DJ Paulette and Tony Humphries and some Americans and Laurent Garnier and a load of UK people, and then like that was to celebrate the 100th issue of DJ Mag in 1993 October.
Oh wow!
And then like 2 years later, I think probably Chris Mellor, the editor at the time, thought, oh, should we just, it's our 150th issue, should we just do our favourite 150 DJs, and sort of opened it out a bit to the industry as well. Got people to sort of ask some people from labels and PRs and whatnot about favourite DJs. And then I think in 97 for the 200th issue, it must have been, it was like, oh, well, let's actually make it more of a poll and make it done by public voting.
I was going to say, 5 years later, you would have ended up with a magazine like that, just doing 500 top DJs. Right? You keep doing it yourself every issue.
Yeah, no. So then it became the top 100 DJs. Carl Cox was the first one to win it. And then it became an annual thing and annually voted. But back then it was like the way you voted. There was a five space coupon. So you'd write your top 5 favourite DJs, cut out the coupon from the mag, and post it.
Amazing. That's amazing.
And then as the web sort of kicked in 2000, 2001, then it became you could vote via the website, and then that kind of opened it up more internationally, and it was kind of right place, right time, really, as the international scene grew, kind of DJ mag grew, and it would help. But like people, all these DJs from around the world would go, they put our logo around themselves. Vote for me in the DJ mag
amazing,
poll, and it became this beast, this monster. Absolutely. Basically, as all in the noughties, all these Dutch trance people started getting in there. We'd be like, who? Oh right, okay, they're massive.
Back then you didn't have a follow account to go and check, so you're kind of hoping that the people submitting stuff actually makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, and it would be, the biggest DJ in Portugal would get in there and go, oh, like DJ Vibe, okay, yeah, he's the biggest DJ in Portugal. And it was a way of sort of covering people internationally as well. It was, I suppose, symbiotic. Like, we got more in touch with other DJs from international countries, and we grew at the same time as the scene, and as the scene in the noughties and then following just kind of exploded.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had around 2010 or 11 when David Guetta started getting dance hits in the US pop charts. Then
you started to get them on adverts as well, weren't you, for that Citroen advert and things like that? And it really becomes sort of kind of mainstream household name type stuff.
Yeah, and it truly did go global, and now there's clubs and there's DJs everywhere, literally from Thailand to Iceland to every country you can think of, in Africa, even everywhere. In the top 100 DJs thing, we get a notification through the back end or whatever as to where people are voting from, and it's literally pretty much every country in the world. There's someone voting in the top 100 DJs poll for someone from. There's countries you haven't even heard of.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That must be quite obviously. I appreciate it's been going on for a long time, but obviously you've been editor for the last 11 years over at DJ Mag. Well, that must be such a beautiful thing for you to just see the name of DJ Mag, to the brand, sort of spread to corners of the world on a poll that, quite frankly, no one else is going to see in the industry. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great for us. It's been a way of documenting the industry as it's grown globally, and covering all the different styles, the mainstream styles, the EDM kind of stuff, and in the noughties it was trance and hard dance was bigger, but the twists and turns would be kind of documented through the poll as well. You could see sort of genres rise and fall and stuff.
Absolutely.
As well as DJs.
Yeah. I've got to ask, and I'm going to bring this in close. How many times have you actually agreed with the poll?
Agreed. What?
Well, how many times have you actually said, "Oh yeah, I agree with that poll. That's correct," or are you like, "I know we've got to print it. They're the results, but I don't like it."
Some DJs are liker in it. Some DJs I'm not so keen on getting it as well. We're guardians of it's the people's poll essentially. It's not, we don't people think we choose it. We don't.
Oh no,
it's voted for, and so. Yeah, there might be. I've definitely got my own favourites. Quite often they're not in the poll, nowhere near the poll. But it is what it is. It's a snapshot of where the global scene is once a year, and so it's become this accepted part of the industry now.
Because let's be honest, as I say, it has become a bit of an accolade, as you say, right? Like literally, if you are you're getting DJs wanting the votes for your magazine. If they become anywhere near the top, they're promoting it, they're telling it, and obviously then you've taken it to clubs as well. Like genius. You know, not only you've got the DJs all over, you've got clubs all over the world now doing exactly the same thing, a completely different audience. But people that don't follow a DJ might follow a club.
Yeah.
So where did that, was that just a natural sort of kind of progression, like this is the next phase?
Yeah, it was really. I can't remember exactly when we started Top 100 Clubs, but it was. I think it was, first of all, it was similarly organically. We just asked a bunch of DJs what their favourite clubs were, and then made a results table out of it, sort of thing, and then thought, oh, actually, we could open it up to a public vote, and I know that quite a lot of DJs look at the Top 100 Clubs thing and think, oh, how many of the Top 100 Clubs have I played at?
That's cool.
And I've done it myself. I've been to 17 of them, or whatever it is. And some of the constantly touring international DJs like, well, I played at 87 of them. Whatever.
That's where the ego's coming in again.
But with the clubs thing as well, it's like wow, God, look at the picture of that new club in Thailand. That looks fucking amazing. Or China or Russia. Well, maybe not Russia anymore. Whatever it is. And just seeing the growth of the scene internationally as well. It's kind of helped map that as well.
So easy. So look, we're just taking a quick step back then. Because obviously, look, we've DJ Mag has really sort of kind of built this reputation. As I say, you've now got these global polls. You've gone international. But then, as I say, as we started coming on to, you've now had to go through this massive transition of sort of looking at, right, okay, we can't just be a magazine anymore. We need to go digital. The access to news and information is vastly different. What were the sort of kind of, let's say, difficulties that you faced in the early days, sort of in that transition and trying to go, right, okay, well, look, we can't just do everything here now. Let's split it out. And how do we do that?
I mean, it's kind of evolved organically, really. It's been like, we used to have a big news section in the magazine. Now that's all online, all the news stuff. And I suppose it is just as went along, kind of realising, oh, actually, by the time that news story comes out in the mag, it would be like 2 weeks old or something. And if it's online, it's there immediately. Just feeling our way, that there hasn't been a handbook or whatever, a rule book. We just felt the way through, really, and. Luckily, quite often our instincts have been correct. Not that there's been any great master plan, particularly.
So when was it that you actually? I appreciate you mentioned the transition was relatively organic, but was there a moment where you were like, "Shit, the concept of media and what people want from it is changing"? Was there like a moment that was just like, "We need to adapt"?
I mean, I guess well, certainly when it was like we need a website was in 1999 or whatever. I remember at different times, I remember one person in the company saying, "Let's just scrap the print mag, and it's all the future is digital." And there was understandably resistance to that, and which proved to be founded because the our business now is there's the print mag. People like a physical thing still, a bit like people like a bit of vinyl still sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then we also do all this other stuff as well. So
sorry.
So like I don't know, things would come along and maybe develop a new part of the business, like the video thing has really come along in the last few years, and now we make these mini documentaries about the making of a seminal dance track.
That's cool.
So it might be like, or the making of Insomnia by Faithless, and we're like, so I'd interview Sister Bliss and we'd edit it into a 10 or 15 minute video, and it'd be about literally the making of a seminal dance track. And these have proven really popular. It's like the artists talking about it in their own words, interspersed with clips from the video or whatever it is, or them playing, and it's kind of like easy, accessible history as well. People do maybe arguably read a bit less these days. People are
absolutely certainly physical anyway.
Physical with social media and the sort of TikTok swipey sort of ADHD thing. People just read less anyway. So like more video stuff is quite good. and yeah, just sort of like trying out new things and adapting along the way. And the video part has been really good, and the way that's developed over the last few years.
So has that actually allowed you to sort of kind of broaden your audience then? Obviously, you know, if you look at it originally, you've got the people who want to go and buy that magazine and specifically read about X, whereas now having the documentaries, the website, the short form content, and still obviously the physical magazine, you know, how's it impacted your audience in a grand scale?
Yeah, I'd say it has. I mean, yeah, we've got our core hardcore readers, people who subscribe or buy every issue in the shop or whatever. But then casually, maybe there's if someone might post a link to, you know, the making of Insomnia by Faithless mini doc on Facebook or something, and then someone can just, who's not even maybe that into dance music or whatever, they never heard of the magazine particularly, but they might just click through and watch the little mini doc. And so yeah, it in theory could get to a lot more people. We've been having phenomenal feedback actually on those mini docs. And sometimes it is from people who are far, you wouldn't say they're dance music obsessives or whatever, they're just more a bit cash, but still quite interested in how something was made or whatever.
Absolutely. As you say, is that you can kind of dip your toe into a little bit more if it's that sort of kind of format, right? So that's fantastic. It's nice to see the DJ Mag is still growing. So look, then let's come on to your actual role then. You spent, and I want to talk a little bit more about your sort of kind of process when writing in a bit, because also I want to mention your book. I won't show it quite yet. You know what, I'll show it now. Renegade Snares. We won't come on to it quite yet. But your role at DJ Mag, you are now the editor-in-chief. For those who are incredibly naive, including myself right now, what do you actually do?
What do I do?
To be blunt.
I mean, I'm mainly to do with the magazine.
Okay. Oh, amazing.
Still, which and you know, we have our deadlines. Well, now every 3 months, which is a bit of luxury. yeah. Which gives time for doing other stuff as well.
2 months to do nothing now, then basically, yeah.
Well, I wish. No, well, so we you know, throughout the cycle of the magazine, we work out we have 3 different covers per quarter. So we work out who's going to be on the cover, and then we have to arrange photo shoots, we have to arrange interviews. You know, all quite often there's the demands of bigger name DJs have got quite high, and we have to work within the constraints of the ideas of different people. So there's things to do with like styling and makeup and booking studios and all this. It doesn't sound very glamorous, all this stuff. It's not particularly. So, you know, I've gone from, you know, music journo writing all the time, and there's an element of it that is more managerial now, if you like, organising other people to do interviews or photo shoots and stuff, and then we map out the other kind of features that are going to go in the mag as well, and then we have to, you know, edit the copy when it comes in from a writer, sub-edit it, it gets designed, proofread, make sure everything's picture captions are all right and the right pictures are in the right place, and there's a lot of checking and proofing and that sort of thing that goes on. And so yeah, it might sound glamorous, but a lot of it is just in the office on the computer, just checking stuff or reading stuff or writing stuff or whatever.
So funny, I was talking to a guy called Nick Angel back in December. He's a music supervisor. One of the points we were talking about is obviously he's trying to help sort of for not only find them to get the licensing sorted for certain tracks, but trying to also predict the future in some way, right? You know, it's like, right, okay, this film's not going to be released for 6 months. What track is still going to be at the forefront at that point? Now, obviously, you've changed from 2 weekly to monthly to now quarterly. And you mentioned in there a second ago about looking at the sort of kind of putting together, right, who are we going to have on the cover? How would you go about actually deciding what to feature, knowing that it's, as you mentioned already about the reviews and the news and things like that, is that person on the front cover going to be out of date in 3 months' time?
Yeah, well, we have to take things like that into account. It can be, it might be that with the person we got on the cover, the reason we got them on the cover now is because they've got their debut album out or something.
Yeah,
so then that it might have to be in that quarter that their cover story comes out. But otherwise, if it's not around a certain release or something or a certain date, then if it's kind of like timeless, or then all well and good. If it's not date specific, then it could be that it could appear in Q3 or could have been in Q4, and it wouldn't have gone out of date, that particular feature or whatever. So sometimes we're looking or interested in things that aren't going to immediately date if it's about, I don't know, Glastonbury Festival or something.
Fair,
and then
fair enough.
by the time a review comes out of that, now Glastonbury was 2 months ago. Or whatever. So don't even do event reviews so much anymore. So it's looking at the topicality, but also things that are going to remain timeless, I suppose, or not going to date immediately.
Is there any sort of kind of things and I appreciate your comment about topicality, but are there any sort of areas that you're like, look, we do not, and obviously I know you mentioned news, but are there elements or aspects that you just absolutely avoid now because that 3 months is far too long, as you say, like events, news, etc.?
I mean, it is that really. It's things that are going to go out of date if someone's talking about I don't know.
Because even, sorry to jump in, but even like artists themselves, right? What's a hot name right now might be because they had a random, I don't know, short form bit of one of their sets went viral, and obviously you could jump on that bandwagon, for want of a better term, and then in 3 months' time, well, they've not had another viral video, so they're completely gone. So do you even look at the same way as with artists and things as well? Yeah,
I guess so. I mean, someone has to kind of. We don't just put someone on the cover if they've had one viral video. Of course,
DJ Mag isn't that bad. I'm sorry.
The artist in question would have to prove that they're
absolutely
valid. Someone's going to be in it for the duration. Invariably paid their dues. Done actually quite a few years of playing all the small venues and stuff, building themselves up. And making sure that somebody's at a certain level. I mean, we do have sometimes in the same issue we'll have a superstar on the cover, we'll have a up and coming, almost unknown person just about to break through, and then we'll have a mid-ranking, highly well earned person on the cover as well, who's like, yes, it's about time they had a cover because they're really good and they do good stuff and whatnot. So we'll look at a number of different factors.
But how do you go about, once again, I might be prying too much, but how do you go about sort of balancing that credibility versus commercial aspect? Commerciality, is that even a word? But you go on me, right? That sort of we are DJ Mag, we are at the forefront, but also you need people to buy it. You need the right people on there to attract that attention. How do you go about balancing that?
Again, it's kind of looking at having a spectrum, really, a balance, and we try and take diversity into account, not just with the
gender,
sort of
race,
but also genres and how famous people are as well, really, sort of thing. And we're kind of lucky that we can put quite a lot of sort of underground people and stuff in the magazine, and people still seem to come along on the journey with us. We cover commercial people, but also highly underground people and people from all sorts of different communities, if you like, of electronic music worldwide as well.
I suppose you can kind of leverage off of the reputation that DJ Mag's already built, as you say. If you've got that sort of, because let's be honest, it does bridge the gap between underground and mainstream. I think that's kind of what DJ Mag does, right? And obviously, if people know who it is, let's be honest, you're buying DJ Mag because you know DJ Mag, and I'd probably suggest. So if you're buying it, you know what to expect. You're going there to find this underground. So it kind of makes sense to be able to, let's say, still have that impact, that input into the scene.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about so I think on the last couple of issues, we had Girls Don't Sink on the cover.
Oh, amazing. They're great.
From Liverpool, these 4 sassy gals.
Yeah.
They were great. They just play, really entertaining party sets. from hard techno, Lily Palmer from Germany.
Amazing.
Who's smashed into the top 100, interesting story. And who was the other one? God, I can't even. Oh, and Shimza from South Africa.
Amazing.
Who's ridden the kind of Afro House, Afro Tech wave, sort of in the slipstream of Black Coffee. And yeah, we're like, oh, that's three. That's a good range of three different kind of artists to have over the three covers for that issue. And almost try and do that every single time. Really, sort of have a think as to what would make a nice spread. So it's not just we're not just having three white 50-year-old men.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
On the cover each time, which one was, there was a little bit of a tendency of certain people to do that back in the day because a lot of it was just these middle-aged white bald men.
Of course. Yeah, that's what I mean. Don't worry. I know I'm white, middle-aged and bald, but it's okay. I'll let you off. So, but obviously you being global as well, I'd argue you've got, it's not, as you say, it's not just about gender, it's now also not even race, it's also geographic location as well, right?
Yep.
You've got to make sure that you are represented. If you've got people reading from Timbuktu, you need to know that they're going to be represented at some time. What are your team doing to find the possible features? How are they going about to sort of are they travelling that country and going to all of the events? What's their process?
Well, we're because we now produce in the UK in London the flagship mag, which does go international. So we've had to try and think globally, if you like.
Of course.
And think, oh, well, actually, we can do an article about America here because that's part of the global scene, and this one's about South Africa, and this one's about Iceland, whatever. And yeah, just think much more globally. It's not just like what's on our own doorsteps in
of course.
in the UK. And sometimes we get pitches from sort of international music journalists from Nairobi or whatever. We get pitches from all sorts of people, which is great actually. Yeah, and we have to work out if it's a goer, and then it could be like, for instance, I myself went to Thailand for the first time over Christmas and New Year, which I loved, and I'm like, I'm going to write about Thailand.
Yeah.
So
if you need anyone to go and visit, let me know. I've been there. I know Copenhagen well. I know the Half Moon Party. I'm not too sure about writing straight after, but I'll give me a couple of days maybe.
Yeah, well, back in the day, I was the self-appointed Brazil correspondent for DJ Mag.
Of course,
which gave me umpteen lovely trips to Brazil over the years, which was great. But now we sort of try mainly to actually get people from that an indigenous person from that country to write the story, because they're already there and they know that scene. It's not just like me dropping in for 2 days and going, what about this, that, and the other. But with Thailand, I think it's fair enough to do that, because that's had such an explosion in the last couple of years even. But I couldn't believe how many people I knew were out there last
crazy, right?
Last winter, and it seemed more than ever. There's new clubs popping up here and there, and it's the whole scene there is popping off. So it seems a good time to do. I've just given away what I'm doing for the next issue.
Yeah. So I can either cut it out or we can let the world wait.
It's fine.
Yeah. But so look, do you localise? Sorry, making sure I'm asking the question the right way. But do you localise the magazine at all? Is there different editions for different countries, or is it just the one globally?
There has been over the years licensees. Some people in Latin America started DJ Mag Latin America. They'd basically franchise the brand and take some of our UK copy for their mag, and also give a localized spin as well. We kind of, some of them would slightly go a bit rogue sometimes, and we've sort of had to rein them in a little bit. And so there's not quite so many now, but there's still a few licensees. But we brought the DJ Mag North America into this flagship UK one now. So we're the flagship one that goes out globally, and there's still some others in various territories. There's DJ Mag France, and I think Holland maybe, and there's a few still. But yeah, we've been kind of focusing on what we do based out of the London office quite a lot in the last couple of years.
So just very quickly, come on, obviously you've got these people reaching out to you, you've got potential franchises, you've got all of this. Where do you stand? And obviously, once again, I don't want to be rude with the way I question this, but do you guys does DJ Mag get involved with sponsored content at all? Are you paid to do features in any way? And obviously with that, how accurate are they in regards to your real review, let's say?
We're very lucky actually in that we, unlike a lot of other titles, keep the advertising and the editorial separate.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're lucky to be able to do that. And so sponsored content, no. I mean, yeah, some other magazines I've heard of, it would be like, oh well, if you pay X money, then you'll get a feature in the mag.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so you just get these features on shit people with loads of money in the mag.
yeah. Well, that's just, I've seen it so many times with like awards, and obviously not necessarily in the music, just even in the industry I'm in, as like a day job. Like all these people are like, oh, we've got voted this, and I'm like, how? Like, and it's bought and paid for, and I was just curious to see how often. Well, thankfully, for the sounds of it, doesn't happen with DJ. Like, is it a big issue in the music scene generally?
Well, yeah, I mean, we hear bits from here and there, and it could be like even some of the small websites. They're like, oh, if you want a feature about your new artist or whatever, give us some money and then we'll do a feature.
Yeah.
Which is, I suppose fair play to them. They got to make their money somehow. We get ours from advertising and events, so we don't have to do sponsored content. Which is a great position to be in, really.
Oh mate, because obviously, if you look back, actually, historically, let's be honest, magazines, or let's ignore magazines, DJ Mag has been a bit of a gatekeeper, I guess, to sort of kind of artists breaking out, or to obviously we've already spoke about the polls and everything like that. Do you think that's still true today?
I mean, that thing about gatekeeping can imply that you keep some fair. I'm certainly not meaning to. No, but there is something in that, I think. But since the advent of social media in the last 10 or 15 years, people can build up their own following independently.
Absolutely.
You can never have had a piece in a magazine or something, or on a website, and still have a huge following online on Instagram or whatever it is, TikTok. So yeah, Instagram's allowed people to circumvent that, really, and any notion of radio or print music journals kind of gatekeeping, only allowing certain people through, whatever, is that's less of a thing now, I'd say.
Yeah, because obviously with the shift from, let's say, media to social media platforms, algorithms and things like that, how has that changed your impact on it? Obviously, I know we've saw the polls and things like that, but as you say, without that kind of taking away the gatekeeping element, but looking at, like, you used to be able to say, right, here's a review on X, but now you can go on the short form content, and let's be honest, half the influencers probably have been paid to say X, Y, and Z. So actually now they're losing that truth. If anything, how do you think? What's your opinion on that, rather than the impact? What do you think of how that evolution has shifted?
I mean, some influencers, I'm not going to coat them off,
of course, yeah,
massively, but yeah, like you say, they're paid to say that these new sunglasses are amazing, or or whatever it is. I mean, fair play to them. They're making a living. The ones in Dubai are having a bit of a not so great time at the moment. Influencers, yeah. I mean, I don't think we think of ourselves as influencers particularly.
I consider you the media.
Yeah. We've been more about trying to cover the broad spectrum of a wide spectrum of stuff. Absolutely. Across the scene, sort of thing, and in perhaps in a traditional way that media does, but also, hoping that new people are being brought through all the time, really.
So do you? I'm once again very conscious how I ask. In fact, I've got a couple of very conscious questions. First one being, do artists still need media like yourselves? or can they completely is it possible to completely bypass it and still succeed, etc., just by going through the algorithms and social media?
I mean, various people who've come up that way have shown that it is possible to to make it, if you like, without traditional media. And I suppose what it is, it's a certain extra validation, or there's some people like, for instance, Fish 56 Octagon, who's come up in the last couple of years through his Instagram, basically.
Absolutely,
and enthusiastically talking about records and whatnot, and made a career for himself. But when he was interviewed in DJ Mag, he's like, oh, that's kind of some sort of stamp of approval. It's like an extra thing, even though it wasn't strictly necessary, but it's like a sort of validation as well.
So more for the artist than the actual listeners, if anything, then.
Maybe, but then we're like, well, this guy, fair play to him, he's broken through in this way. We're going to cover him because he's not 21. He's not just coming out of Hackney
he's
Wick
another middle-aged bald man.
Yeah.
Am I fish? Who knows?
Oh.
So I'm very conscious of the question, and you may have already answered it, especially with that validation from Fish 56 there. If DJ Mag decided tomorrow, you know what, we've had enough, would it change things? Would it matter? And I mean that, hopefully that question makes sense. And I'm certainly.
Should we shut up shop?
If DJ Mag stopped tomorrow, what difference would it actually make? And I adore DJ Mag. I want to be clear about this, and that's the reason you're here, and I'm absolutely buzzing. But I'm just curious, based on how the industry and the industry has evolved. If DJ Mag stopped, what difference would there be? What impact would it have?
Well, I mean, I think the industry obviously still would carry on.
Of course.
But what I think we brought to it is a level of professionalism, respectability. People are like, oh, actually, in previous years, people have thought of dance music as a bit of a dirty scene, really.
Absolutely,
a bit just like, oh, it's just those druggy reprobates over there.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. We've shown that it's a valid cultural art form, and there's a whole history to it. There's interesting stuff to be talked about, discussed, new technology to write about. This whole pantheon, this whole spread of interesting cultural like artifacts about it. So I suppose we brought that to the table and validated dance music as a legitimate genre of music alongside rock and pop and hip hop, whatever.
Amazing. Thank you for amazing. I knew you'd be able to nail that answer, and I was really conscious of how I asked it, but because I'm a big fan of DJ Mag. It's been around as good as long as I've been old enough to read. And it's been such a pioneer in the industry. And honestly, meeting you today, thank you so much. Well, look, we're going to come on. And I want to come on to actually, before we get onto your labels and things like that, I want to touch on your book, Renegade Snares. Now, first and foremost, before I get into that, obviously, having written a number of articles, and obviously, I went through a considerable number of them in preparation for today. There's obviously, let's say your more familiar ones, like your 25 years of Defected and things like that. But then what I actually found was what I felt was a stronger theme from you, and what lends itself nicely to Renegade Snares is more the history and the culture. And I look at like Children of a Windrush Generation, which in essence kind of felt like a bit of a lead into this in many ways. But what spurred on the writing of the book?
It was myself and Ben Murphy, who I co-wrote it with. We were just sat around one day, and I think we started talking about why there was no definitive like history book about drum and bass. And we're like, I wonder who'd write that or whatever, or who'd be in a good position to write that. And we thought, actually, we're in a good position to write that. Why don't we do it ourselves?
Absolutely.
And in the 90s, I'd interview all these drum and bass people all the time with DJ Mag. Still interviewed some more, and also commissioned pieces when Zinc's got a new album out or whatever it was. And so followed the scene all that time. I also used to DJ drum and bass.
Of course, yeah.
Before went into breakbeat and then other styles. So had followed the scene, still was up on it, I suppose. And then, yeah, we thought, well, right, we're gonna write it then. I actually had a sort of block over it because with my full-time day job and other such stuff, I was like, where am I going to find the headspace to do that? And then COVID came along, and then suddenly we were all just sat at home. We actually hit pause on DJ Mag for 4 months because there was nothing. There was no events. There was, you know.
Of course, yeah, of course.
So that was the time sat at home. I was like, oh wow, I've actually got this time now.
Yeah.
And there was also some junglists sat at home. Were like, yeah, of course you can call me up and interview me. So a mixture of old and new interviews. We put together the book, and it we did it over, not sure exactly how long, quite a few months. In 2020 or 21, and it sort of coincided as well, interestingly, with the sort of reckoning of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Of course,
and there was people saying,
yeah.
"Oh, drum." I remember saying back in the 90s that this is such a mixed, multicultural scene. There's no way this scene, out of all these other scenes that have been whitewashed over the years, from jazz to house music, whatever.
Yeah.
Black pioneers, and then suddenly all the main chief operators are white people. How's that happened? It's never going to happen to drum and bass, but then it did seem almost to be happening. And it was, I remember there was this documentary, and it was just this parade of kind of like white guys in black t-shirts making drum and bass, and it's like, hang on, where's all the
where's all the black guys?
Where's the black pioneers?
The actual people that pioneered it, yeah.
And so that was and within there was a whole reckoning within the scene as well. That was interesting to write about. So in the intro of the book as well, that Windrush generation thing you alluded to was where, because I'd thought of this article. It was around the time when there was this whole hoo-ha about the people from the Windrush generation possibly being, the government trying to send them back to the West Indies or whatever, when they never even lived there, or this ludicrous thing about people not having the right papers or whatever. When
it's a bit like us right now in the US.
Yeah, when people have been invited actually in the 1940s, 1948, whether to come to help rebuild Britain after the war, and how the culture had become much more rich as a result of black people's music infiltrating into the UK scene and bringing sound system culture and bringing reggae and bringing dances. Ska, blue beat, etc., whole pantheon of black music styles, and how from Norman Jay to Ronnie Size to all these black people's parents came over as part of the Windrush generation, and they're second generation black British artists, and have totally enriched the UK music scene. So it was kind of like recognising, paying a tribute to them as well, and following how that had kind of, with drum, bass and jungle, kind of also permeated through those scenes as well.
Well, and I know we were talking about it earlier, obviously, in when we preparation for recording today, was obviously the UK music report recently that Tom Kill put out, saying that obviously 80% of all UK music is from black people, which blows my mind. As you say, there's this whole concept of white man doing this, blah blah blah, taking over. Where is the diversity? But actually, behind the scenes, it's dominated by black people, which is crazy. Just maybe the attention. It's not publicised, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's 80%, 24 billion out of 30 billion sales in the last 30 years generated from black music genres, which could be from techno counts as a black music genre because it was started by black guys in Detroit or whatever, house music, Chicago, so black music genres, and within those genres, usually there's now a mixture of black and white people, but it's
yeah.
paying homage to the pioneers and where that came from as well, and also, you know, R&B and grime and all these styles are massive, you know, and people think, oh, UK music, oh, it's the Beatles and it's Oasis, and it's these like indie white blokes with guitars, but that's only one part of it. There's there's a lot more than that, obviously, and that UK music report is, I think it's quite a landmark report, actually. It's kind of like a wake-up call for the industry, actually.
It's come at a beautiful time with everyone being distracted. In other words, distracted by the AI conversation, to actually bring it back and say, look, hang on a minute, you're moaning about what AI is being trained on. You're not recognising who started it in the first place, or either. So that's actually I think it's a really well-timed report to come out. But if you don't mind me asking, obviously, and I appreciate I'm kind of digressing slightly with the book, but like, when you're writing an article and then suddenly you come on to writing quite a chunk of a book, and I appreciate a bit of a passion project for yourself and everything like that. But is there a different process for you from writing an article to writing something like this?
I mean, not in a sense. I mean, it's like a one big long article, really, or a series, like one chapter is just about Goldie.
Of course, just to make a point. Sorry, thank you for reminding me, because that was one of my favourite things that was mentioned about this book. Goldie himself called this the truth, the definitive book on drum and bass, which, like.
Yeah.
If there was ever someone you're going to need a clap from, Goldie's an absolute star. Fair play to you, mate. Like,
yeah, amazing. I mean, well, with... Because when I did one interview with him where basically he talked about the abuse that he experienced in care homes when he was growing up. It was really fucking heavy. You know, he started crying during the interview and it was really heavy and you know, and he's very open and honest about that sort of stuff. And I was like, are you sure you don't mind that going in the book? Because you know, people are going to read it. And he's like, no, that's fine. I don't want other people to go through what I had to go through. If by talking about it, I'm going to, you know. So there's people saying some very honest stuff in there as well, and it's not just, and then I made such and such a tune and then I did another tune. There's kind of like socio-cultural stuff in around it as well, I suppose. Absolutely.
I mean, as I say, that's kind of what my point, what led on to it in the first place, was just how it wasn't just about, this is music, these are the people. It was about how it come about, the reason it come about, the culture behind it, which, you know, obviously I appreciate you mentioning it in a lot of interviews, but is there a certain sort of kind of way of researching for something like that, or is it purely just talking to the people? You know, what did you do to prepare for this?
Ben Murphy and I sat down and we were like, well, there's certain sort of lines, historical lines that we need to join up. And we did start off with the Windrush thing, and then like sound systems, and go through soul to soul, and then hardcore and rave, and you know, like, and Ragga Twins and Shut Up and Dance, and talk about some of the kind of early pioneers, and sort of weave a line through, draw a line through the progression of the music, I suppose, the logical progression, you might say, and so, like, well, okay, so we need that chapter, and then we need to talk to so and so for this chapter, and kind of, you know, did it pretty much chronologically, you know, through the years. So then, you know, after the millennium, there'd be a bit about No U-Turn and the kind of darker tech step stuff just before the millennium, and then how it got a bit brighter and breezier after the millennium.
So, okay, coming on to we've got the book. So to me, where he is, this book is the truth. I didn't even realise it was on the back. That's how bad the book. This is a quote from Goldie. This book is the truth, no holds barred. It lays it down as it is and shows with concise clarity the tribalism within this beautiful drum and bass culture. This is definitive me. Like, bravo, brother.
Yeah, no. What a great quote!
Mate,
I mean,
absolutely.
Just sent in the PDF of the draft, you know, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do your quote."
Amazing.
It's great. Frost done one as well, which is nice. And Irving Welsh done one as well. So that's 3 good quotes to have. But you can order it from Waterstones or Amazon, I believe, still.
Oh, I can tell you Amazon. This is
Amazon.
where I got it from. I got it from Amazon. Yeah, did take a little while. That's why I haven't read it all. As I mentioned to you in the car on the way up, it did take a little while to get here.
Yeah, come on, Amazon, pull your fingers out.
God damn it, Amazon! I could have read all this by now. Yeah, but mate, honestly, I'm really excited to properly get dug into that because I love understanding how, especially because of the podcast, everything, how things started and everything like that. But look, I think we've spoke a fair bit about you writing. Let's come on to a bit more about you and music in itself, because you've had, in fact, I believe you've got Jack Said What is going now, but you also had Westway Records back in the day as well, which went on for 10 years.
Yeah.
So like, really, you are an incredibly multifaceted music man. Let's be honest.
I guess so.
And so, where did the label start? What was the idea of that?
The first one, Westway, with my mate Barry Ashworth. It came out of first of all, the first time I met him. Well, I won't go into that.
Over a bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
I interviewed him, which I think it was at the 3rd attempt because I'd gone to interview him and then we ended up getting too fucked up and couldn't do the interview, and so I arranged to do another one with him, and the same thing happened. And then the 3rd time, I actually did an interview with him, and by then we'd kind of become almost like mates, and we were like, we started a night together, basically in West London called The Truth, just after Millennium, and out of that, like, people are giving us music, unreleased music, and maybe we should start a label. We just thought, yeah, let's start a label, and it came kind of at the tail end of vinyl, really, in 2003 or 4, whatever it was. So we did loads of vinyl releases, about 40 odd, but it was as digital was more kicking in, and so the vinyl sales were kind of getting less and less, and we sort of transitioned to digital for a bit, and then thought it's not as exciting as a digital label as it was vinyl, and so we kind of like it kind of fizzled out pretty much. But then a decade later, and I'm sat with my mate Steve Mack in Brighton, and down his studio he's playing some of his unreleased stuff, and it's like, why is this on your hard drive and not out there? Maybe we should start a label. And so we started Jack Said What, and Irving came on board with that as well, which was amazing. And we've been doing that for nearly 4 years now, and it's kind of like it doesn't make any money. It's like a labour of love side hustle.
Passion project. I love it. Yeah, of course. Oh, it's like, this is what this is for me, right? You know, it's love. I love the industry, love what I do, so it makes it very, very easy. But also, we're coming back to that point earlier I mentioned, which was like, you know, this whole article writing, review, and everything like that. It's kind of got that whole A&R edge, as I mentioned, and it's suddenly actually being able to go, well, you know what? I found a track I love. Let me help get it out. Yeah, like, that's a really, really cool thing. And do you find yourself using it to support specific artists, or is it just anyone you like, or anyone that you accepting demos, for example?
Yeah, it's separate. It's a separate thing from DJ Mag.
Of course, absolutely.
Keep them separate. No, I mean, it's a mixture of, sometimes it's actually literally become. It might be one of our friends who. Like, for instance, John Carter, who was a really excellent DJ from the 90s and noughties, and he sort of retired basically for a while, and went and did something else, and came back and starts making tunes, and he's looking for a label, and it's so a mixture of people we know already, and then there's other people have been like more young people with a demo kind of thing who we thought, we'll work with them and try and get that out. So a mixture really.
Was there anything that you did like differently between launching Westway to Jack Said What? You know, obviously we're talking 20 years between the launch dates. You know, what did you take from Westway into Jack Said What, and what didn't you?
Well, I think when I did Westway with Barry, Barry did the kind of A&Ring by DJing around the world, and meeting someone who'd give him an unreleased tune, and then I do all the admin work, all the work, and now I do a bit more of that kind of like getting sent stuff and A&Ring, and our pal Rob does all the work.
Yeah, I love that. Good man.
Well, that's not exactly true, but
So have you got anything exciting on the roster right now that you're generally sort of like geared up for?
yeah, I mean, always we took a little break over the sort of winter period. We got this sister label as well, Out Your Box, which is more for Jackson Watts house and techno, and then Out Your Box is anything else really, like dubstep to ambient, whatever it is. We got an album coming soon from this guy iFans, which is really this kind of mad glitch hop kind of electronica stuff coming. Our friend Nicole, she's done a really cool sort of techno track, which we've got some remixes for. We did the Welsh and Sci-Fi Soul Orchestra disco album, which we've got a load of remixes coming for imminently in the next few weeks, from people like Hillit Collett and Black Octopus and John Carter. So yeah, we got loads of stuff coming. We're up to nearly 4 years now. So we put a shit ton of music out, all really good, and most of it's come into my DJ sets as well, because that's kind of like one of the reasons we'll put it out is, would you play this out in a DJ set? Do you like it enough to play it in your set? Yeah. And if not, why are you putting it out?
Perfect question. Really good question.
Sort of, anyway.
Well, I might have jumped about here, and apologies if I do, because it's kind of something that you were just touching base on about how your DJing impacts your label impacts DJing, etc. Obviously, I mentioned you're quite multifaceted, from the DJing to the label to the journalism and everything like that. Do you find they do sort of kind of, not so much blend, I don't think blend is the right word, but do they impact, do they affect what you do in the other quite substantially, and how? Yeah,
absolutely, they do. They all feed into one another, really.
Amazing.
So like the DJing might feed into doing the radio show, because on the radio show you all play...
It's one BTN, right?
One BTN, yeah.
Yeah.
You might play, might do it, some of it like a DJ set, mix records into one another, but then the other part of it, because it's radio, you can be more eclectic and just play a weird record like John Peel style, and then play another weird record or whatever. It's kind of up to you really. In a radio show, if it's a late night, it's not a commercial station, it's a underground station, if you like.
Absolutely.
Where you can do what you like. And so that feeds in, and again, like I was saying earlier, it feeds into the journalism, it feeds into the label. It all feeds, it's all part of the same ecosystem, if you like. So it all feeds into one another.
And obviously, look, using that, and I should say your overview, for want of a better term, of all these different elements in the electronic music scene, and obviously your deep-rooted love and passion of culture and what originates your music. What do you think the biggest threats to culture in the electronic music scene are at the minute, or plan it, or will be?
Well, I mean, the AI thing is interesting, because it almost changes every month. People are like, oh no, fuck that. And then they're like, oh, actually, I'm going to try and use that, and then it's like, God, there's loads of AI tracks on Spotify that have been made in 30 seconds by a machine, with no human. But you can kind of tell as well, the AI stuff. You can tell it's soulless generally.
Well, you say that, right? What was it? Sorry to jump in, Cole, but there's been a couple of artists that have been sort of, let's say, uncovered. I think it was a Japanese band of like seven people, and to the point, and funny enough, I can't remember where I was reading it. I was literally reading the article today, funny enough, and they were saying about how originally it was like this person behind the scene, fake pictures, fake videos, fake music, all AI right across the board. It blew up, and like they got a huge fan base, and suddenly fans were like, hang on a minute, something's not right. And they've actually now gone and built a band around it, which I don't know how that works, because they're not going to sound anything like them, well, unless it's still AI, but at least it's like you've got this one element there where now they're used AI to build the fan, then gone and got the people to do it. You've got the other side of the coin where you've got like the likes of Suno and things, which I appreciate, okay, they've maybe gone legit now and obviously very conscious of mugging anyone off or anything like that. But look, there's a whole piece we could do about how it wasn't really ethical in the initial stages. But then you've also got like the likes of, I saw a video the other day of, and I think this might have even been Suno or someone else, but like Timbaland, you know, one of the biggest producers in the world. You know, he's making his own tracks and then getting some voice creator to do lyrics for him. And it's like, why would an artist of that nature, why would someone that big be supporting someone? And I appreciate, like, I know, like, I don't want to get too deep into this because I've had this conversation a lot of times. And I think that the beautiful middle ground is like, use it to assist, not to create.
Yeah.
For want of a better term. But what do you, if it keeps going down the rabbit hole or the route it is, what do you think the impact's going to be on the scene?
Well, I think, like sampling, it will just become part of. Some people will use it as maybe sketching out a lyrical idea. It would be like, oh, maybe I'll get this AI singer to sing it first of all, and then get a real singer in. Yeah, that sort of thing. So people might use it as a tool to help with the creation, rather than because you might be like, well, I can't afford to get an orchestra in.
Absolutely,
but I'll get AI to do the thing, and then maybe we can be able to play some of it later with an orchestra. I don't know. That's probably not the greatest example, but yeah, using it as and now that the genie is out of the bottle, it's like you can't just try and ban AI everything.
Of course, absolutely.
People would be using it for to help in the creative process. And so long as there's human activity, a human element to it, then that will still keep the soul more in it. Because if you just let the AI run away with it, it turns out a bit soulless. That can be not just music, but if you say, "Oh, ChatGPT, write me an article about drum and bass," then it will kind of
it'll write an article.
But it'll be full of holes, in factual errors, and also seem a bit weirdly phrased and a bit soulless.
I was about to say, it's got no identity, no character, hasn't it? Because it's quite funny because like what you were saying there about the samples and everything, and I had to quickly flick through to remember the thing. But back in 2018, obviously, you did the Cold Cut article where you were talking about everything needs a soundtrack, and you were actually talking about sort of visuals and samples and all that. And obviously, that's like 8 years ago, way before even AI was being spoke about. But sort of how that's changing the thing. So ultimately, I suppose this is just the next step of that in many ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, Cold Cut, they've been real visionaries over the years. Like their thing, they were way ahead of the game with the audio visual thing. I remember they developed this thing VJam, which was, and it was like the next step from sonic sampling would be like video sampling, which people like DJ Yoda now does to incredible effect. And it'd be like, well, when you're doing a set, you can scratch in a video sample, so you get the visual on the screen as well as the sound at the same time.
VDJ's been around for donkeys, hasn't
exactly
it?
That. But
it's been able to mix music videos,
but it hasn't really taken off until just recently, kind of. And now with the AI thing, you can get all these mad, amazing visuals as well. Which I suppose the thing with that is, and also with people just filming the DJ with their phones from 2 meters away. Instead of dancing at a dance event, I'm just going to stand here for an hour and film the DJ in their face when there's nothing really to film apart from them going a bit of twiddling. Why are you doing that? Why are you removing yourself from the moment? And similarly, if you're just watching a screen, it's, are you at the cinema or are you at a club?
I don't think that there's the side fact is, right, I this is one of those topics that I'm really torn on, because like there is this whole thing, and actually funny enough, I think I spoke to Caitlin about this last month, was this whole concept of how we back in the day used to go to hear a DJ, now you go to watch a DJ, and I think that's quite a huge factor. Like, it has become such a performance
definitely.
That, you know, when you've got the likes of Fisher coming in like on wires and flying in and doing this, or Tomorrowland have got this big sort of kind of production behind the scenes and behind the DJ and everything like that. It's become such a performance that. Okay, so for a final question to you, how do you think the spirit of the scene has changed? You know, that feeling it gives you with the evolution of technology and the change of the way the culture in essence.
Well, old bastards like me, like
Yeah.
almost wouldn't.
Still beautiful, Carl, don't you, Laurie?
Almost wouldn't know who the DJ was sometimes.
Yeah,
And it'd be like. You'd just be there with your pals, having a laugh on the dance floor, dancing, enjoying the totality of the experience or whatever. And rock and roll was where you stood there with your pint and watched the band. But so the DJ culture coming into that kind of performance those performance stages is kind of like a hangover from rock and roll. And the audience is like a bit similar. Like I'll go to an event and I watch whoever's performing, but not realizing that DJ culture is participatory. It's like you get involved in it as well. You don't just watch the DJ.
Yeah. You
interact with the people around you, and you have a dance, and you sort of have a laugh. It's maybe a hangover from rock and roll, and now more than ever it's like a show. You know, you talk about showman DJs, or the DJ thinks they have to perform and do a funny dance and do whatever to entertain the crowd who are there filming them.
Yeah.
It's not really about that.
It's ridiculous. You know, so what would a perfect night out look like for Carl Loben?
Well, these days.
Well, I'll tell you what even better question. What did it used to be? You don't have to answer that, by the way. I know this on YouTube. You're allowed to tell things. What was a perfect night out for you back in the day? What's a perfect night out for you now?
Well, it's probably the same. It's going to a dance event with my pals and getting down to some cutting edge sounds. Probably. Whether it be, in the 90s, it would be at a squat party, or it'd be it could be anywhere really.
Basically, the big difference now is comfort.
No, not even that. I went to drum sheds a few months ago, and it wasn't very comfortable. But it was like an old school rave venue, and we had a great time. You know,
drum sheds would be amazing if you could get there easier.
Yeah, it wasn't the easiest to get back from.
No, sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah. When you're leaving, what a killer. Drum sheds, sort out your transport after.
Yeah, taxis, isn't it?
Yeah. He's just standing there waiting for an Uber for 5 hours. I want to come back. I think we've gone on enough, and I've spoken many other episodes about AI and the change of the scene and things like that. I really want to come back to your core, which is obviously the journalism element, to sort of kind of finish off. The conversation today. But what do you think the future of music journalism does look like? Sort of like more sort of across the board as opposed to purely DJ mag.
There's always going to be interested in reading about artists, DJs, producers, people in the industry, the culture. So I think just to keep on documenting that, really. I haven't got a crystal ball, but there's always going to be people always going to want to know about other people and what they do, and so there's a role for storytellers to bring to life a story about what a certain person is all about, what their art is, or what areas they're operating in, all that sort of thing. So yeah, I think there's hopefully always going to be room for music journalism, music journalists of a sort.
Amazing. If you were starting out again now, then do you, and obviously I appreciate you probably didn't have a traditional thing by not having that formal education or training or anything, what would you do differently if you were starting out again now? Or maybe even to change the question, what advice would you give to someone starting out now?
What I might do different I know in the mid-noughties I did paint myself into a kind of corner as only being the drum and bass writer, which kind of slightly limited what I could do. But I, after a while, I sort of broadened that out, I sort of was sometimes quite actually sort of gobby and ranty in print in the 90s, where you had to sort of shout against all these other great melody maker writers.
Of course,
and go,
absolutely.
Fucking listen to this stuff over here. Never mind your Oasis, never mind your Travis and Embrace shite. Look at this futurist amazing stuff. And you know, I'm not really a gobby ranty bastard in real life. Particularly.
No, not at all.
So yes, so I know I sort of almost adopted a persona in those early days in the 90s, which kind of leveled out over the years. I think because I've done a bit of guest lecturing on music journalism courses and stuff as well, and one of the things I kind of say now is don't think you can get it as one-stop career, because it's really hard to get a job as a music journalist, and as a freelancer it's hard to make a living just doing music journalism.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what you should do is have it as part of something you do. Well, you might do some DJing and also some journalism. You might do promoting. You might do work on your friends on the door at your friend's night. You might have a job in a coffee shop or whatever it is. I'd say don't bank on it as being your one sole career thing. Think of it as one of several hats that you wear. Of course, because a financial necessity is that you probably are going to have to do that, because there's not very many jobs as a music journo on a paper, on a magazine, on a website that's a full-time job. They're few and far between. So yeah, think of it as if you're passionate about it, try and build it up, but also bear in mind that it's hard to make a living just doing that, so maybe you should think about doing some other things as well.
Just to supplement the income to get by. And obviously, you mentioned earlier on, obviously you have a lot of people sort of kind of reaching out to DJ Mag. You know, if you were, obviously once again, not trying to, please feel free to answer based on DJ Mag, but if you was being a bit more holistic, if you were a freelancer again, you know, early days, trying to build your name, etc., how would you go about reaching out to people? Is there an approved process, so to speak, or like a normal way to go, or is it, I'll throw it over to you rather than me trying to answer, you know, how would you get your articles in front of people?
Well, yeah, just get hold of the right email contacts for the commissioning editors, whether it's the album section or the features section or whatever it is, and literally in a quite simplistic way pitch the piece or pitch the article, and then also include links to some of the previous things that you've written for perhaps other people or whatever, to show that you know it's not going to be the first thing you've ever written and it's going to be shite. You can actually know what you're doing and you've written some stuff before.
What was if you haven't? Would you obviously not, sorry, maybe you haven't got anything published, would you start a blog? Would you know what would be your first sort of port call? Yeah,
start a blog, write for some things that are kind of free websites or whatever, just get some stuff out there to show that you can write, because otherwise someone's going to go, well, what have you ever written before? And if you're like, well, nothing, then
not going to get too far.
Then you might be, oh, I don't know if I can take a risk on that, because you know it takes because you're paying the person also for their writing, and also if you're going to publish it within a certain time frame, then if it's going to be a nightmare to try and sort out for them because they've not written anything particularly before, then so and it does come with practice as well. I remember the odd writer, at first they were not that hot particularly, but then over just doing it over time, over months and years, people get better and better, and so start doing it as well, even if it's for yourself or just for your internal portfolio.
I suppose it's a bit like anything really, and not to sort of kind of once again make it too sort of a high level, but rather than thinking just start, just get moving, just get something, crap or not, just get into the flow of it.
Yep.
And I don't know whether you'd be open to sharing it on the podcast, but let's say there is an aspiring freelancer out there and they wanted to put something over to DJ Mag. Do you have like a bit of an open email address for them to go to? Or
I mean, yeah, they're easy enough to find out in the magazine. They're all there in the flannel panel, we call it, the who does what sort of.
Do your research. Get on, read the magazine. Then you can. Don't just listen to this. Fair. And let's say so. They've started getting their stuff out. How do you have any advice on how a freelancer would value their work? And you can answer that from a monetary perspective or anything like that. You know, if you're entering this, you don't know what X or Y should be. How do you mean go about
how much a freelancer should charge or whatever? Do you mean?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have our set kind of word rates.
Okay.
So if it's I don't mind saying what they are. If you're doing 1,000-word feature article, then it's 20p a word. So you get paid 200 quid.
Right.
It's not the biggest amount in the world, but it's not the smallest either. Some places don't even pay hardly anything, or whatever. And our word count, isn't the highest. It's not as high as national papers or or whatever. But it's not bad for the music industry, as such. And so, but it's not that we'll say to the freelancer, oh, okay, I want you to. We haven't really got things about 1,000. They tend to be either more or less. But it'd be like, well, we want you to write a 1,000-word article on blah blah, and you'll get paid for this blah blah amount.
Yep.
And if the writer says, yeah, but I want to write 5,000 words on that thing, and you're like, I'm sorry, I haven't got the space for it.
Yeah. You kind of need to stick to the brief, right? In that sense.
And everyone gets paid the same. We don't. It's not like, one person gets paid more than another for word rate or whatever. It's standard across the board. So that's kind of within the structures, I suppose. It's built into that. So it's not as if someone comes in and goes, well, my rate is this and that, and as a freelancer we'll find out that different people have different rates, and you just kind of have to probably go along with it, because you're probably then writing for a few different people, and they'll have different word rates.
Yeah, of course. So really it's dictated by the magazine rather than the actual freelancer themselves.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So that makes absolute sense. So let's take one step back on this, and the last question on this element, Carl, and thank you once again so much for your time today. But if someone was going, right, okay, I want to be a journalist. Now, I know you didn't have the traditional sort of kind of educational route we've already discussed. Is there a traditional route now? You know, if you was to give once again advice to someone who wants to aspire to be a journalist, what is there an academic route that they should take?
I mean, yeah, we at the magazine now, we do have qualified journalists.
Of course,
in fact, my deputy editor, I met him on a music journalism when I went to be a guest lecturer on a music journalism course in Southampton. I found him there, and
amazing.
Shout out Ben Hindle. I was doing this thing, magazine in a day, where the students had to create this magazine in a day, and he was in his first year, but he kind of stood up. I said, who's going to be the editor then? And he said, oh, I will. And he was in his first year. He sort of
love it.
He knocked it out of the park, really. I got him to start writing for the mag after that, and he's kind of come in and become the deputy editor.
Amazing. And
it's definitely benefited him to have gone through a music journalism degree.
So there's a specific music journalism. So not just journalism. There's a music journalism.
Other
degree.
people have just done journalism,
of course,
degrees or courses. Yeah.
But if you are like someone like yourself who has these two colliding passions, they can literally be that focused.
Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing.
There's few and far between music journalism degrees now. I think even that Southampton one, they've kind of knocked it on the head, because students were racking up 60 grand debts, and then you
and then 200 quid for it.
Yeah, exactly that.
Fair.
But a more straight up news journalism degree will, then you can sort of adapt that to writing music news stories very easily. So yeah, and the same with DJ schools and there's now kind of like education
Yeah.
within journalism, within DJing, with these things that have come along in the last 20 or 30 years that didn't really. I mean, well, yeah, journalism courses existed, but not music journalism ones really. It was people who fancied having a go at it really, and were maybe good writers and thought they had something to say and were passionate about music. Not to say people who go on a course aren't passionate, but it's part of learning your craft as well. I suppose that if you've had 3 years at college to develop your craft, then that's going to stand you in good stead. But it's not essential.
Fair. And are there any like niches in the music journalism which are a little like more underserved or overserved, or I'm, as I say, I'm a bit naive here, so I'm kind of going to lean on you a little bit here, Carl. But like, I look at journalism as, I look at the music industry and how vast it is, and my naivety suggests that there's a lot of different types of writing and journalism within that and what they're focusing on. And there, as I say, coming back to the question, are any that's underserved? So someone that maybe wants to have a little bit less competition might go, I'm going to go that way.
Yeah, I mean, it could be one good thing to think about is to develop almost like specialised subjects. So, I mean, I mentioned about me painting myself into a corner with drum and bass, but on the flip side of that, it could be like, oh, we need something written about drum and bass. Oh, let's call Carl. Which, I mean, that kind of applies these days with DJing. We're like, oh, who's the expert in EDM, or who's the expert in such and such a genre, and then we've got something coming along. Okay, let's call so and so because that's their main thing, and that can work either way for something. It can be good, or you've painted yourself too much into a corner. But if I mean, we have people who can turn their hands to pretty much anything as well. One person particularly seems to almost be like ChatGPT himself. He turns things around so quickly. So if there's something you need something really, really quickly, it's like, oh, let's get so and so who we know can do it in like 48 hours or something.
So actually, there's ways of standing out that aren't necessarily topic specific, but actually your skill set instead.
Yeah, I mean, if as an editor, as a section editor, the ideal is that you have to change somebody's copy as little as possible. Really, fair. You'd love it if you didn't have to, all you had to do was put one comma in. And it's all otherwise perfect. But so that if people can deliver, up to scratch copy that needs very little work on it, that's always going to be a bonus. And if it comes in when you ask for it as well, that's always good as well. On time and good copy, and they're personable, then that's half the battle, really.
Fair. Well, everyone who wants to be aspiring music journalist, get out there, have a look, start writing. That's the thing. So, look, final segment for me then, and thank you so much again for today, Carl. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know how much work you've got on, so honestly, taking the time to meet with me today, it's been an absolute pleasure. But last thing, what's next for DJ Mag? What's next for Carl Loben?
Crikey.
Big question. I know.
I think with DJ Mag and me as well, just keep on keeping on, really. There's always new good cool music around the corner and developments in the scene, new people coming along, new people to meet, new things to go to. You mentioned like the whole experience thing of Tomorrowland, people spending more on production and the surroundings of an event rather than just the paying loads of money to a superstar DJ. That's interesting. There's all these new AI. There's all these new interesting like developments coming along all the time. New bits of technology. So it makes it's ever evolving, which makes it ever interesting in my book, really.
So, okay, what about yourself? Obviously, look, I know when you mentioned about sort of what's going on with DJ Mag, but obviously you've got, you wrote a book. Is there any, you looking to do any more books? Are you got any more plans to push your DJing, your label, anything like that, or anything? Is there any events that we should be watching out for where you're going to be headlining or anything like that in the near future?
I don't know about headlining. Yeah, I'm headlining Glastonbury. I want to do another book at least at some point, but I haven't quite worked out what it's going to be yet. And also I found, with Renegade Snares, that it was hard to have the heads when I've got all this stuff going on.
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
And my day job and everything. It was hard to find the headspace until the pause button was pressed on the day job for a few months. So don't quite know what form that might take yet. But,
so this is the products of COVID. I love that.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Fair play. Well, look, buddy. Unless you think there's anything else that you want to touch base on, I do have one last question, and it's a question I ask at the end of every episode, and that is: in 100 years' time, people look back, they say the name Carl Loben. What do you want to be remembered for? What's the legacy you want to leave behind?
Oh, crikey.
I don't know. That's pretty much the usual response, to be honest.
I don't know. Someone who was around at the turn of the millennium who tried to document electronic music in various forms accurately.
Definitely. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. Between you and Sylvia, the king and queen of jungle and drum and bass, buddy, it's been an absolute pleasure. I wish you the very best.
Nice one, dude.
If you enjoyed this one, please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes, and share it with someone who's into music, clubs, or building something of their own. Thanks again for listening. I'm Ben Davenport, and I'll catch you next time on Beats Learning.